What's up, everyone? Welcome to The Heroic Ethic, where all you need to do to be considered a hero is follow the 3 simple rules of heroism. Don't throw the first punch, stronger every day, and at least help people when it's easy. I'm your host, Liberty Bill. So today we are trying something new, Philosophy Quote of the Day. I figured this might be a good way to get some content out there while I'm working on the more substantive videos, give us something to talk about and a launching point for discussion. And so today I wanted to do a few quotes from Bertrand Russell, from his fantastic book, The History of Western Philosophy. I would totally recommend everybody read this book. And it's funny, it's annoying. I read this at Rikers. Yeah, believe it or not, Liberty Bill has spent a couple of months at Rikers Island. I will certainly shoot a video one day detailing my experiences there and the whole story behind it. But while I was there, I read this and I marked and circled and underlined, and it was hugely useful because I had all these great passages called out. And then at my previous job, right before this whole COVID lockdown, I loaned it to a guy that I'd made friends with, and we were talking about philosophy, and I wanted him to take a look at it. And I figured I would get it back because we worked together and I was going to see the guy every day. And of course, we got locked down the next week. So I've never seen that guy again, and I've never seen my book again. So I had to get another copy, and it's more or less pristine, but I did call out a couple of quotes that I wanted to talk about for this video, because we're going to talk a little bit about Romanticism, or at least these quotes are going to be. You might recall in my epistemology video, I made a distinction between what I do here, which is rationalism, and Romanticism, and that I dismissed them because they are polylogists and moral relativists, and you really can't have a logical conversation or a rational conversation with those people because they're just not consistent with anything, and whatever they say is valid and whatever you say is invalid. But this is not a new phenomenon. And so I like these quotes a lot because they talk about the philosophical origins of what I consider to be the most modern iteration of Romanticism. So here we go. Let's take a look and see what Romanticism is really all about. So, cultivated people in 18th century France greatly admired what they called la sensibilité, which meant a proneness to emotion, and more particularly to the emotion of sympathy. To be thoroughly satisfactory, the emotion must be direct and violent and quite uninformed by thought. So, yeah, that's the sort of person that a rational has to deal with. Let's see. It is not the psychology of the Romantics that is fault. It is their standard of values. They admire strong passions, of no matter what kind, and whatever may be their social consequence. Romantic love, especially when unfortunate, is strong enough to win their approval. But most of the strongest passions are destructive. Hate and resentment and jealousy, remorse and despair, outraged pride and the fury of the unjustly oppressed, martial ardor and the contempt for slaves and cowards. Hence, the type of man encouraged by Romanticism is violent and antisocial, an anarchic rebel, or a conquering tyrant. I trust that a lot of this is sounding familiar, yes? Moving on to Rousseau, who is probably the most popular pusher of Romanticism. Rousseau's first literary success came to him rather late in life. The Academy of Dijon offered a prize for the best essay on the question, "Have the arts and sciences conferred benefits to mankind?" Rousseau maintained the negative and won the prize. He contended that science, letters, and the arts are the worst enemies of morals, and by creating wants, are the sources of slavery. Everything that distinguishes civilized man from the untutored barbarian is evil. And one more. The origin of civil society and the consequent social inequalities is to be found in private property. To undo the evil, it is only necessary to abandon civilization. For man is naturally good, and savage man, when he has dined, is at peace with all nature, and the friend of his fellow creatures. So those are the Romantics, headlined by Rousseau. I trust you see some similarities with what's going on in the modern day. And remember, these are just chapters in a story of the cycle of empire that's been going on since the beginning of human history. And there's very little that we can do about it. I have come to that conclusion in my old age after being a little bit more passionate about creating change as a young man. But I do think that it's worth understanding our enemy, and they're rising. The Romantics are rising, and we are near the end of a cycle of empire. So they're going to burn it all down. But eventually, it will be our day again, and we will rebuild our society. And hopefully, this time we can put a more heroic veneer upon it. Thanks so much for watching. This has been The Heroic Ethic. I'm your host, Liberty Bill. See you next time.